Hey everyone, Tom here, Battle Rap Resume here, back with a quick recap of a fucking incredible, momentous event that was at yesterday. That was, of course, Chalked Out Volume 3 at Concrete. I just want to give a huge shout out at the top of the episode to everyone at Chalked Out. Ambi Shocks, Natural, Frankie, Ewan, Ben, everyone that is involved in that team, and King of the Dot now as well, which we'll fucking get to. I can't believe that. That is incredible as well. But yeah, that was a wonderful, wonderul time. You know, it's becoming a nice regular occurrence going to Concrete now and having these huge marquee events, and we were really spoilt yesterday. So, you know, as someone attending to the event, it was just a joy. So yeah, we're going to go through some of the battles. Please pick up the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view is actually available now. I'm recording this recap slightly later than I normally do due to getting back from London and stuff. So if the details are even more hazier, if the quotes are even more incorrect, then you know how to get me, battleresume@gmail.com. Please comment below as well. But most importantly, please follow Chalked Out in all its iterations. I'll put all the links in the description below and the pay-per-view as well. So yeah, let's get into this card. So first off, this is a little different. You know, I'm based in Oxford. Normally I'm just getting the coach down to London. I was in Birmingham for the weekend visiting family. Me and my brother went to go see Kendrick Lamar on Friday. So therefore, a different way of getting there. I got the coach from the centre of Birmingham, the National Express this time. And it looked like there was a reason to it. I wasn't just doing it for some administrative boring purpose. I was in the queue, had that moment when you're in the queue. I think it was like 8:45, pretty early, pretty groggy. You recognise someone, you don't recognise, and you recognise someone, you keep looking at each other, eventually you say hey. Shout out to Will Ross, who people will know, Battle Rap Nerd fans will know his beaming face from the groups. He's a regular poster, he's a huge fan. I, of course, was aware of him. We'd spoke a little bit as well about him getting on the show, and we sort of spoke about the show before and stuff. So it was awesome to see Will in the queue. It was a 3-hour coach journey down there to Concrete, and it was great to sit next to each other and just to talk, and we just fucking chatted about battle rap pretty much constantly. Occasionally our real lives intruded, but we made sure to mention Premier Battles or Chalked Out if ever that did happen, and can't forget Code Red as well. But I mean, just we were going in on how great the battle scene is, and we weren't even aware of the power move that went down with King of the Dot. And can 2018 calm down a bit? Like, fuck me, man. Like, are we going to see Danny Smack next? Like, what is the next union? Because it is quite remarkable. So anyway, long fucking journey. It's pretty rainy as well, which doesn't really matter because obviously when you're deep in the viscera of these venues, you can't really detect a thing. But you know, no one seems to care smoking outside either. So, but yeah, just to paint a mood, so to say, the pathetic fallacy, as it were. We get there. You know, it's already quite busy from the time I get there. Me and Will sort of split. You don't really need to care about me and Will anymore. Me and Will split off before we got there, and yeah, there's a hell of a lot of people there from early on. It was sold out. It did feel sold out from early, really, from some of the opening battles. I think they moved to the battles from the after party, which we'll get to in a moment. And you know, the huge, lively, energized crowd was, you know, certainly recipient. And I want to say shout out to everyone that I met in the crowd as well, everyone that said hey. You know, a lot of people just sort of would turn to me and recognize my voice and say that they like Mastermind. So thank you to everyone that does that as well. Alright, I'm meandering, so we'll get to the first battle. As I said, there was the after party. Some battles got moved. The first battle that went down was a tryout by Easy versus Sizz. I was pretty impressed with this tryout, I've got to say. You know, I think this was a 2-rounder. I think Sizz started out, and you know, there were no stumbles throughout the entire battle. I said that to Lazy Ass Jack afterwards, and I was like, is this a bad thing to say in a battle culture? Is this something to be grateful of rather than good bars? But I will say that Easy did impress me. You know, he acknowledged that he looked a bit like Yunnan, which he did look a bit like Yunnan, and he seemed to get a little bit more like Yunnan performance-wise as he went on. He went on quite a funny route that sort of, I say funny, original, and he exploited it for gain, about him being Albanian and Albanian people being slightly different, and how Albanian weddings everyone shoot and stuff like this. And like, you know, I think he worked it well. He had a good character on stage. There was a lot of potential for both of them. If I'm honest, I remember Easy more. I spoke to Easy after the battle as well and let him know. And I did, you know, I said to him, like, is this your actual first battle? Because he had a lot of presence, you know, he had a lot of confidence. And yeah, I enjoyed this battle, so definitely check this one out. The next battle was a Merge MC versus Conman Curve, I believe. Always a joy to see Conman. I saw him both in person and battling. I saw him at UKBL Bloodline, where he battled I want to say Herb D, I think that he battled there. Yeah, he did battle Herb D there, which hasn't came out, and I've seen him a few other times, and he was great. Emerge was great as well. Emerge sung for a lot of the round, which can often just be a complete failure, but I think in his hands, he played it right. You know, he had a tonality to his voice as well. Conman just keeps getting better. You know, Conman is really surprising to me how consistently he punches and how well he dealt with the crowd as well, because it must have been quite cool for these people who have bumped forward to have a huge sold out concrete as opposed to I think it was at Mangle. I'm not actually sure of the venue. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people there, but obviously the vibe is different. People were far more sober at this time. People were more enticed, easily enraptured at this spot in the day. I should say as well, the battles were on the stage as opposed to Code Red in the pit. I think Premier battles are coming to concrete as well, so it makes sense that everyone's sort of mixing things up, because there is this you know, slightly incestual nature inevitably through quite a small country of, you know, the same cameramen. Obviously all the respect in the world to Bagnall and Kruger, you know, they're geniuses, but using the same cameramen, same venue, same stage setups, etc., you have to move it around to a certain extent. So this is on the stage. It had to be as well for Soul Tony, didn't it, which we're going to get to. Jesus Christ. Next battle was Topher versus Podge, which I really liked Podge in this. I think Podge is very technical and very impressive on that level, the way he constructs things, the way he leads himself down, the way he gets the crowd's eyes on him. Topher I enjoy for his references, for a slightly cerebral, you know, a Pokedex of pop culture there that he's putting forward. I think his delivery can be a little dense, a little like saltwater taffy, a little chewy, a little hard to kind of lead on to, just for me perhaps. I thought that Podge Joy was sort of cutting through the fat a bit more and being a bit more direct, and I think he did take the battle. I think of speaking to a few people at the event, they weren't quite sure what Topher was talking about. I'm pretty sure Topher, he had a few dry spots here and there, a few pauses, you know, he's a sort of character that can acknowledge that and run with it. But yeah, I had Podge here. I thought Podge was good on the stage as well. I think he stood out, and I think he beat Topher quite convincingly. Darpa versus Terminal was next, which is a really good matchup, you know. Got a lot of respect for both of these guys. And Terminal, you know, you got to do Logan Paul bars to a certain extent. Like, when this happened, I turned to Lazy and I said, like, you did a Kevin Spacey bar. You've got, you know, at a certain moment, I don't know how long this Logan Paul thing's suicide for. I don't really follow the guy, but obviously I'm aware of that tangentially. Something like that is heavy. And I think, again, Darpa's style may be similar to a Topher. Like, you know, he's very impressive, but can sometimes get a bit trapped in itself. And I found it a little hard to detect where we were going sometimes. Okay, I was pretty fucked at the time, as a lot of people were. Not making for the best updates, perhaps. Just get the pay-per-view. You don't need to listen to this. But yeah, I think Terminal won. I think Darpa, you know, he choked a little bit. He was looking at the floor a little bit, and there were these long, open, you know, pitch silences, which are never pleasant, but, you know, they do happen. Who am I to criticise, especially in that room of all places? A lot of people saying yesterday, if I'd seen the Briggs battle, I haven't. And they were saying it wasn't as bad as you think. They didn't say it was good. They said it wasn't as bad as you think. So you shout out to all those people who did that. But yeah, I had Terminal winning. I just felt he was a bit more consistent, and I didn't necessarily think it was the greatest battle or anything like that. It didn't set the room on fire, but I thought it was fun to see these guys. Talking about setting the room on fire, however, Maverick versus Zen was awesome. It was fucking awesome. Like, I've never actually seen Maverick cook like that before in a room. I don't think I've seen Zen before. Did I see Zen versus Quill? I think I might have seen that, but I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure if I've seen Zen versus Quill or not. But yeah, Mav, obviously, the story coming up to this is crazy. Unfortunate, the whole Josiah situation, really. I remember last time when I was at Code Red and I was speaking to Alan outside. Shout out to Alan as well, saw him there at the event yesterday. Mav delivered some of his bars he was going to do for Josiah, and, you know, they were electric. Of course they were. And I love the fact that Chalked Out had got him back into the frame so quickly, you know, and he wasn't sort of meandering away, and he'd been given a great opponent, and Zen is a fantastic opponent. And, man, what's your talent, Zen? What both of them are on the mic. Like, you know, it's not really about necessarily the wordplay, the bars, which they were there in abundance, but I just think, you know, the physicality of both of these, the projection that they had. I thought this was a really good battle. I probably had Mav winning. I think Mav had a bit more to say, and I think Zen in his second, I believe, did a sort of long grind round that Mav had countered. So Mav was just really sort of, you know, preparing this and working his way well in his battle strategy. But all in all, you know, a really, really good battle. And, you know, Zen always got to play the hits to a certain extent, bringing the grime out. And, you know, Zen was fantastic. They were both fantastic. There was a really good energy in the room by this time. And I think, you know, people were very hyped, people were very loud, people were very lively. And yeah, shout out to Chalked Out for putting an excellent event. Next up, we had Bobby versus Dundee, which is kind of what you expected it to be in the sense that it was flawed genius, you know. I think Dundee certainly win. I think Dundee had an amazing third round as well, which is the dichotomy of it has been done a lot in battle rap. Like, I'm doing something that might be perceived as not gangster, but I'm describing it as gangster in a certain way. You know, we've seen this a lot. Like, you know, Sharon has done this to a certain extent in a more kind of racial way. But I loved where Dundee went because obviously both he and Bobby Rex are fathers. Shout out Phoebe Rex, mega talented Phoebe Rex, and Dundee was talking about a tea party that he had and unicorns, and I don't know if friendship was his magic was ad-libbed or he said that again. It's a little bit hazy, especially a day or so after. But I remember being transfixed by Dundee, and shout out to Dundee as well. I got to say hello to him quickly as well, and that you know, the amount of effort that him and Vega have put in to get over here, utmost respect. But yeah, Bobby played on the similarities of them looking alike, and I guess, you know, persona-wise in the first, adopting an Aussie accent, which he pursued well. You know, we've seen a lot of impersonations on video before, but there were some slip-ups. You know, there were some preparation issues. Again, I don't know the full story there. Bobby can make a choke look beautiful. A-Ward touched on this in one of his flips in a soon later battle. You know, it's always a shame, and there were some slip-ups in this event, similar to Code Red. You know, you got to be honest with yourself as a fan, which is fine. You know, but they were there, and they are a bit disappointing, and they do take out the momentum slightly. But I think Dundee was coursing nonetheless, and it's just the way he moves around the stage, the way he commands. I think he is an absolute, you know, hero. Shout out to Dundee. I thought this was a really good battle, delivered on both ends. A little bit shame about Bobby, but Bobby has that character, has that skill level to float when it seems like he's sinking. And then I believe, apologies if the timeline is completely out of whack, similar to similar to Netflix's Dark. Has anyone watched that, by the way? I wasn't really a fan, but I know a lot of people enjoyed it. But shout out Mikkel. But anyway, King and the Dot and Chalked Out were then announced as partners. I'm not sure the full information here. I've sort of read a status or two. I know I said that word wrong, but it seems like pretty much the King of the Dot and Chalked Out have merged, as it were, and that it's not just going to be a feeder league of sorts, that these battles are going to be hosted on the Chalked Out channel, similar to maybe what We Go Hard do with URL, but this is an actual, you know, fully fledged partnership. These are going to be King of the Dot UK events, from what I can tell, the big events, the volume events. And, you know, the fact that some of these battles they're about to get into are going on there, I guess it makes a lot of sense as well that, you know, a lot of these battlers, like Dundee, like Vega, and Madflex, and A-Ward, and Chiller, and, you know, arguably they're King of the Dot battle. I mean, you know, stretched for more than others, but you can certainly say that with, you know, with your A-Wards and your Chillers, etc., and Madflex, they're dyed in the wool. You know, they're very much established on that league. So, yeah, absolutely gigantic power move, you know, so fucking cool, ridiculous. 2018, we're barely, you know, halfway through the second month, and already there's been another paradigm shift. So shout out to Chalked Out, and shout out to King of the Dot. Around this time, what battles were happening? I think it was Vega versus Frankie, which was a decent battle. I don't think it got the reaction it deserved in the crowd. The crowd seemed a little quiet from my end. I really enjoyed both of them. I think, you know, Vega's polish on stage was impressive as well. I think he commanded well. It was a good battle. It was a good battle. It wasn't, again, apologies for this. This is kind of a day after, and I was pretty wasted at this time, so it's hard to kind of recount a lot of it. By the pay-per-view as well, as I say. All the respect to those guys, though. Both huge fans of them. There were some funny lines as well. I remember Vega saying something about him being like tallest Down syndrome battler around. But yeah, this was a really fun battle. So shout out to both tallest Down syndrome battler around, and it was good to see Frankie, you know, commanding the stage yet again and turning in another cool battle down there at Concrete. Next battle was, I think, one of the first real brilliant battles on both sides. I thought both of these guys brought it 100%. This is one of those matchups that you always wanted to see. This is Most Prob versus Tongue Twister. Most Prob had some one-line haymakers. Like, I'm not really going to give any away, but Jesus Christ, man. The crowd was just in the right mood for this battle, you know. And I think after we'd been with the bar smiths and the characters, it was just fun to laugh. And shout out to Most Prob and Rapunzel, by the way. I got to say hello quickly to them as well. And I think initially when we spoke, Tongue Twister hadn't turned up, so I was a little bit skeptical whether it's going to go down. Very happy to see that it did, and to such a rapturous crowd. I think a lot of people were agreeing that on both sides, this is one of the sort of marquee matchups. And yeah, really, really funny from both. And like, Tongue Twister is so practiced. Both of them are vanguards of the scene. So I really, really enjoyed that battle, actually. I was sort of behind Prob at the right of the stage at this point, and it was been a long day. Like, I think a lot of people were hot and tired. There was a lot of battles, a lot more battles that we got to get through as well, because and that's no slight against them, that is just battle rap altogether. But I think as the energy was flagging there, it was a very smart move to put that battle in that slot. We then had the surprise battle, which I'd known about for a little while, which I thought was a fantastic idea. Look at me name dropper over it, which I thought was a fantastic battle. Dialect versus Gemini, one rounder, Marvel versus DC concept battle. Now, I may be wrong here. I'm pretty sure Dialect Blood both Marvel and DC, and Gem just went Marvel, I'm pretty sure. Again, I wasn't, you know, too lucid at this point, so it's hard to catch a lot of the bars. I think I had Gem winning. Gem went first. Gem went a little longer, a little more intricate. I mean, Gem is, as we've discussed on the show ad nauseum, loves this sort of stuff, you know, very, very knowledgeable. They had the Infinity Stone bars, and something about Quill and being masked up. He had some shit, he had some crazy shit, and this was a really good battle, and smart as well, because I think these battles can always pop if they're released at the right times. Like, wasn't it like Pamphlet versus Death was released on Dark Knight Rises or something like that, which makes me fucking old. So if they release this for the Avengers or blah, I don't know what they're going to release this for, but, you know, regardless, this was fun. And this is on the pay-per-view as well. And if you're into that sort of world like I am, like I'm sure a majority of you are, this is our football bars, DC Marvel bars. And if you want them, people like Dialect and Gem, you're not going to get any more talented than that to deliver them. Then into Shocks v Madflex. Actually had Madflex winning this, not just for his perspiration. Jesus Christ, the guy was in layers. I saw my man Nathan Jones comment on this as well, and I spoke to him briefly outside the venue, not about his layers. Really lovely guy as well. Hopefully going to get him on the show soon. But yeah, the guy, I don't really understand, especially considering where he comes from, but, you know, he was dressed for the occasion, and I think he won the battle. I think this is quite a dense battle. I said to Madflex as well that he's got quite an elegant style. He's got quite a drawn together cubist painting of a style in which, you know, various perceptions can change the punch markers there. What the fuck am I talking about? But I think he was good. I think he beat Shocks. I like Shocks' material. I especially liked his second, because I don't think Madflex is necessarily going to be the most familiar character to a lot of people, regardless of having, you know, huge battles. The E Farrell battle, obviously everyone talks about. The Psychosis battle was a really good battle as well. But Shocks sort of went in on how obsessed he is, how he, you know, done his own highlight reel, which I think a lot of battlers are guilty of to a certain extent, and played it well and played it convincingly. I think Madflex's surname is Fellman, and Shocks like, your name is literally the man, and, you know, going in on all that, and just playing to a different sort of arena here, not sort of going as punch heavy, but Shocks are still delivering that. I thought it was a good battle. You know, a lot of people at this point were saying it was like battle of the day. Personally, I had Prob versus Tongue Twister as battle of the day at this moment. I just think it was a bit more memorable for me personally, but I didn't think it was a bad battle on either side, and I think this is definitely one I'm going to have to rewatch, and you're going to have to rewatch, and I'll mention again, pick up the pay-per-view, because it is an absolute bargain, really, for the amount of battles you're getting. Let's have a look here. That you're getting 12 battles for 20 quid, which is essentially £1.60 a battle, and, you know, some of these are worth even double that. So, you know, there is it's a really sick pay-per-view. So yeah, that was Madflex versus. And then I think Re-Chiller happened here, which was a fun battle. We did get a lot of stuff from Chiller re-flips. I think we got a whole round of re-flips, which is just kind of what you can expect. Obviously, his name's fucking Mr. and Re, so they're a gift for people like this. I preferred Re's stuff. I think I've never seen Re perform before, and I think he is exceptional on stage. You know, I love the way he delivers things. Like, me and Chiller were talking outside after about Ree being similar to Ty Law, and not just because they're tall, but, you know, because of that sort of sinewy way that they work themselves out in the ring. So yeah, love that. You know, loved him, I should say. I thought it was a good battle. Again, not as, if I'm being brutally honest, don't think not as explosive as a lot of people wanted. I know a few people didn't really enjoy that battle that I was speaking to, and that's fine. But I think, you know, again, it's one you maybe need to watch back a little bit more. I think the energy throughout the day, it'd been a long day at this point, and, you know, inevitably it flags to a certain extent. But I'm sure people have got, you know, a lot of positive stuff to say about this battle. I don't recall too much about it, if I'm honest with you. But again, a really cool thing to this matchup. Now, the next battle is one of the best battles that I've ever seen live. I thought this battle was fucking outstanding. I'm a huge fan of both of these guys. A-Ward versus Ark. I don't think I've even seen any of them battle before. Obviously never seen A-Ward battle before. And I was saying to people like, A-Ward, it's so cool to have someone who's in the ascendancy. An international star who's not like, say, a Math who's done the incredible things and is coming over. Or, you know, someone who perhaps isn't getting the matchups at the time and this is kind of his thing to sort of move. No, A-Ward is going crazy right now. I think he's done like 4 battles in 60 days, or yeah, I think this may be his 3rd one that he's going, yeah, something like that. He's, you know, he's making huge moves. And the rebuttals in this battle, A-Ward, obviously Ark, but A-Ward's a gifted rebuttaler as well. He'd make his rebuttals like long paragraphs and sentences with clauses and conjunctions, and it wasn't just a sort of off-top setup with a punch on the end. You know, it was beautifully, you know, constructed there. I thought this was a great battle. You know, Ark didn't necessarily go too much on the religious stuff, and A-Ward sort of put up a projective shield, you know, acknowledging that was going to happen. But, yeah, these tangled, like, brilliantly. This is the battle we really wanted to see. This is the battle we needed to build up to Tony versus Soul, and, you know, both of these guys murdered it. So if you're going to get the pay-per-view, check out this battle first. Highly recommend that one. Now, we get to, obviously, you're going to check out Tony versus Soul first, though, aren't you? Which we'll get to now. Bit of a disappointment, unfortunately. You know, just so essentially, battle goes down. Tony Soul begins, and Soul is just in his bag, in his, you know, the painful truths that he points out in aphoristic ways. He wasn't even barring for much of the battle, really. He was just sort of laying down, you know, what was self-evident between them. And what I liked was very early on, Soul was saying, like, to Tony, like, if you even stumble, you know, if there's a small choke, if you forget a word, you know, that's it. That's the red line sort of thing. And unfortunately, Tony played into that trap near instantly. I think he got his first out fine, if I'm remembering. There were a few pauses and, you know, sort of tripping up over himself to a certain extent, which was a shame, and it especially put Soul into stark contrast because his third was so devastating. And then I think in the second, Tony actually got his rhymes out. It's kind of hard to see from the back, but I'm pretty sure I saw a glimmer of A4 or 2. So yeah, Tony forgot. Tony sort of did exactly, you know, what Soul would said he'd do, and Soul was just going at Tony as well, really, you know, just in that sort of Viper mode. So I think as a Soul battle, it's exactly what you want it to be. As Soul versus Tony, you know, it's not like a Soul C major or, you know, or a Soul Most Prob, or I wouldn't unfortunately put it into that bracket. And I think Tony has retired now. He posted something about it recently saying, massive shout out to Soul, the Chalked Out family and all the fans that turned up. Soul with the 30 all day long. The kid is a monster. One love to everyone who made this journey what it was. I've had a blast, but you will not see me in that ring again, despite the offers that have been made. I haven't got the drive anymore, passion, or the hunger. Thank you all. You made it special. It's a lovely message. And, you know, Tony acknowledged this at the end of the battle as well. And it was, yeah, it was sad, because obviously Tony's one of the greatest battlers of all time. Personally for me as well, I think he's one of the greatest ever in terms of the writing sphere, and just who he is as well. He's just a lovely, friendly guy. Brilliant for the scene, brilliant to have there. But yes, Soul bodied him. Soul bodied him badly, and we need to see some bigger Soul matchups now. Like, unless it's Soul Gem, I don't really want to see a UK Soul clash, but you know, we'll see. There's such exciting things on the horizon, and it's so cool that battles like Soul Tony and Most Prob Tongue Twister and Archaic A-Ward, I think that's going to do numbers on King of the Dart as well, and loads of other stuff as well. So shout out to Chalked Out. Brilliant event. You know, the 3rd volume. I can't believe this is the bloody 3rd event. The moves they're making right now are incredible. Shout out to the entire staff, everyone that I saw yesterday. Shout out to Michael, who was rocking a Battle Rap Resume hat as well in the crowd, which was great to see. He had to let me know he was going to do that, so I was looking out for him. Yeah, please subscribe to the channel. please get in touch with me at battle@resume, battle@resume@gmail.com if you want to come on the show, you want to discuss something. What did you think about Chalked Out? Let us know in the comments below. Pick up the pay-per-view, as I say, that will be down below as well. Support all the leagues, Code Red, Chalked Out, Premier Battles, Foul Play. You've got the event coming up soon. Rap is full, King of the Ronalds. 2018 is incredibly healthy, and as a fan, as a chronicler of this stuff, we are absolutely spoiled. So, yeah, once again, shout out to Chalked Out, shout out to everyone that I saw yesterday, all the battlers. This is Tom, Battle Resume. Peace.